Hi guys, this is Elise Hole. I am presenting my final art project, which is a casted belly, and I wanted to read to you my artist statement. This casted belly represents the intrinsic connection that crosses cultural lines and ties sisters of nations together. The belly represents a breadth of hopes, the scars of loss, and for many, a remembrance of their own growing and changing bodies and welcomed babies. This belly was a cast of a dear friend of mine who served in Uganda for years alongside myself and the people group we worked with. According to UNICEF, there are 19 deaths per 100,000 live births in America. There are 375 deaths per 100,000 live births in Uganda as a country. And in Karamoja, which is in the northeast region, the people group in the area I served in for 4 years, the mortality rate has remained persistently higher than the national average at 588 deaths per 100,000 live births. These mortalities are represented by tribal colloidal scars. That's what these are. The places are denoted by color, and I chose this project because Karamoja is where I first learned of midwifery. It is where I first cared for women and babies and was empowered by local midwives and traditional birth attendants in my own midwifery journey. I encountered deep loss in that home of Uganda, the graves of numerous babies being buried alongside their mothers, who should have received better care, and I believe that there is a deep connection amidst our womanhood and even simply amidst our humanity. If we can listen and respond, perhaps we can lessen and even eradicate these iniquities and one day see no unnecessary maternal mortalities worldwide. For my art medium, I chose a mixed media art. I used plaster to make the belly cast, and then I used joint compound to cover the belly cast, and then I painted it, and I also used my iPad to draw the woman here and then print that off. So there was, primarily it's plaster and paint and joint compound on what you're seeing here, but there was a lot of media that went into it. I chose this medium because I really love belly casts, and I somehow wanted to incorporate all of these different pieces that were personal to me and also a community basis. So my friend Christy was pregnant at the time, and Christy and I served together in Uganda for several years, and she was pregnant with her 10th baby, and so she let me do a belly cast for her, which I think is really special, that she's connected to Uganda and particularly the Karamojong tribe. So the way I went about creating it was I went over to her house, I plastered her belly, I waited for that to dry, I sanded it down, I put joint compound over it, I waited for that to dry, I sanded it down, I did that twice. I also had to come through and reinforce a lot of the more tender regions, and then I drew this on my iPad and then printed it off and then had to trace it over and paint it, and yeah, so it was just a lot of really individual small dots, and yeah, lots of work that went into this as far as like just the small pieces that kind of brought it all together. I tried to keep the colors similar to what you would see if you walked and visited a Karamojong woman that was pregnant, carrying a baby on her back, and tried to keep that true to the culture. Another piece was I wanted this to look more African-like, but I didn't want it to be stereotypical, so I was trying to find a positive way of doing that. So when I was trying to figure out how to represent the maternal mortality rates and the different kinds on the belly, I wanted to show that in a way that was honoring to the Karamojong tribe. And the Karamojong tribe do what's called keloid or colloidal scarring. It's where they cut small small divots into your skin, and then they put ash from a fire into that, and then it basically scars over, and you'll see that on people's faces, on their chests. Oftentimes you'll see it on women's breasts and on their stomachs. This is more of a rough representation of it because I wanted to really show the difference in colors. So they're a bit bigger on here than what you'd see on a human, as you can see from these photos. These first two are from men that I just found on stock photos on Google, and this third photo I cut off the woman's head because I did not have her permission, and she's actually a good friend of mine. So you can see the different type of scarring that they do, but typically these smaller scars in a like line or a row is pretty normal. So the gold represents the maternal deaths in America, and you won't see very many of those because I did this, I wasn't able to get all 588 maternal deaths represented, but I cut that in half. So there's 294 dots total on here, which shows the total death of the Karamojong women within Uganda. And then the yellow represents the maternal mortality rate in Uganda, and the gold, you can see a good one right here, represents the maternal mortality rate in the United States. I wanted to do that because gold shows a sense of wealth, and that's primarily why we have such a lower amount of maternal mortality rate, because of the wealth. But I also chose to paint the woman and her baby gold because I wanted to show that every woman has intrinsic value just as a human. So this project was very dear to my heart. I'm super proud of it, and it was a lot of fun to make. I hope you enjoyed it.